thing is project the true identity of Arizona as the leading center for innovation and entrepreneurship that exists. It's not, everybody thinks it's all like Boston Route 128 and Silicon Valley and so forth. Those are very innovative places, but those are innovative places within certain and particular niches. This is a place where there's unbelievable levels of social innovation, social change, educational innovation, educational attainment. So, second, beyond that, education and innovation are the only way forward. If you think about other things, it's really a waste. I mean, it just really is. I don't even know why, you know, if it's not related to us finding ways to be economically successful within this space of economic development, I don't know why we talk about it. So here's what we need. I listed out 6 things. We need the highest performing K through 12, period. We're on that path. We're moving in that direction. We need to stimulate innovation more. We need to stimulate school choice. We need to stimulate different ways to make this work. We need the highest performing K through 12. We have about a 70 to 75% high school graduation rate. We need to get it to 95 to 100%. It's just simple as that. What do you need to do to get that done? It's not about spending more money. It's about changing how school districts are financed. It's about focusing on performance. It's about measuring performance. It's about honoring performance and incentivizing behavior related to performance. It's about changing the model. And I can tell you, having been the leader of a very large institution the last 10 years and having been involved in its innovation, it's a function of a team getting around the fact that non-performance is unacceptable. K through 12 performance is, and these simple answers, well, you know, we just get these kids from these lower income families and it never works out. I don't care what the income of the kid is. I don't care what family the kid comes from. I don't really care about anything. All I care about is a high-performing K through 12 enterprise where any child can enter that enterprise and be successful. We need specialty schools. What I mean by specialty schools is we don't need everything always the same. The more it looks like a factory, the more the schools are nothing but simple numbers, the more it's, I think this is one of the big, I was meeting 2 weeks ago with the #2 guy in the Chicago public school system, a Motorola executive who was friends with some ASU folks who did very well at Motorola, went into the Chicago public school system, and now he was attempting to apply in a very, very fractured, very problematic public school district in one of the largest cities in the country, trying to figure out how to make that thing work. And they might as well have just numbered their schools. Where do you go to school? It's like New York City. I go to school number 8. I go to school 12. There's no identity, there's no accountability, there's no differentiation, there's no room for innovation. It's nothing but a structured bureaucracy of efforts to just replicate the same thing over and over and over. You want to squeeze out innovation. Run education like a factory. And that's you'll squeeze out innovation. So you need specialty schools. In the schools, multiple languages. We get these people talking, Chandler should be a place where more kids are studying Chinese in Chandler. Imagine this as the headline. More kids are studying Chinese in Chandler than kids are studying English in China. So how many kids study English in China? It would be all of them. I read a biography of Mao Zedong not too long ago, which was fascinating to me for the part of his life prior to his becoming a politician. People remember Mao Zedong was the communist leader who unified China and brought it together and did all kinds of things to, in a sense, grow out of their imperial or their royal structure that they had before. The village that he came from, he had never visited his county seat. Now this is in the last 100 years. He'd never visited the county seat, which was 20 miles away. And one of the reasons he hadn't visited was that they didn't speak the same language that he spoke in his village. And some people had once from his village been over the hill to the village on the other side of the hill. Once he talked to some people that had been over there, and they didn't speak the same language over there either. And in the region of China that he came from, there was an estimate that there were 500 dialects. those same kids are learning Chinese, obviously, Mandarin Chinese, but they're also learning English, all of them. And so, multiple languages, the notion of multiple engagements, because if you want to be a world center, if you want Chandler to be a world center, if you want Phoenix to be a world center, you're going to have to be able to understand and interact, not just in English. It's wonderful, I speak only English, but that's because I'm lucky. I grew up in the United States and convinced everyone else to speak lots of English, but that's not enough. We need world-class colleges, starting with world-class community colleges. Starting with world-class community colleges. Now we have a great start here in Maricopa County and a great start in Arizona. We have the former president of the Chandler Gilbert Community College right over here, Maria Hesse. So that's an example of a fantastic institution, and Maria is now the vice president or vice provost of Arizona State University for our relationships with all other colleges, academic partnerships, and in particular, community colleges. So we've been working vigorously to make certain that every kid that we get through high school, we need to get on to some kind of post-secondary education, at least half of them. People always say to me, do you think everybody needs to go to college? The answer is no. About half need to go to some kind of college, at least a community college. And of them, about half of them need to go on to some kind of a university. And then if we can sort of move up that scale, then our economy will be more effective and more successful. But at community colleges, we live in a society that mocks community colleges. We live in a society that offers no respect to community colleges. It's absurd. It's absurd. And so, for this community, Chandler, to be successful, highest performing K through 12 that one can possibly deliver, specialty schools and differentiated schools, multiple languages, and world-class colleges beginning with community colleges. It is also absolutely essential that somewhere in this community be what ASU has emerged to be a first-tier research university. Read what I wrote in the Arizona Republic yesterday. A first-tier research university. What does a first-tier research university mean? It means it can work on any problem that your imagination can conceive of. That it can allow students of ability to work on anything that their imaginations can conceive of, and that they will not be constrained. Whatever that happens to be, whole new ways of conceptualizing industry or technology or medicine or any of the things that we do. And this community going forward needs one of those. Now, here's the argument that we hear against that. Well, we didn't need you to get this far. That's literally the argument that we hear. We didn't need you to get this far. And I say, correct. Fantastic achievement. I'm not talking about where we came from. I'm talking about where we are now and where we need to go and how we need to compete. So this community absolutely must have a first-tier research university. And then lastly, for this education and innovation pathway to be successful for Arizona, we must create a culture and a climate beyond where we already are, which drives innovation. Which drives innovation. So just do a test the next couple weeks. Watch what you read locally about what people say about what's going on here, and tell me whether or not you think we have a culture that drives innovation. We have innovation in spite of the fact that we don't yet have that as a part of our culture. Now, if I'm in the Chandler Chamber, or I'm in the Chandler City Council, or I'm on the East Valley Partnership, or I'm representing this region in the state legislature, I'm just giving two messages. We must change the message of the state. I'll give you another example. So I gave the Intel example earlier. Here I thought the press for the announcement of the research lab was unbelievably de minimis. It should have been the front page. One of the most historic things that have gone on in the last 20 or 30 years in Arizona was that this multinational corporation, Intel, has finally decided to build a research laboratory in Chandler. So that must mean that these guys are You know, they have green eye shades of unbelievable capability, and they at headquarters up there in California that most of the executives are robots. And so they're very, very analytical. And then in their analytical, robotic way of thinking at Santa Clara or wherever they are, they're up there and they decided, we're going to build one of these labs in Chandler. That must mean all conditions are right. The right environment, the right labor force, the ability to attract people, the right schools, all the things are right. So how big was the story? It wasn't that big, and it was a one-day story. Up the road at the Mayo Clinic. So we partner with Intel. We're one of the main partners. We're the main local partner with the Mayo Clinic. What do they do? So they have under construction right now a $200 million protein beam medical device and research facility for advanced brain-oriented medical treatments. And they just decided to add a cancer center. And they're launching a medical school here in Arizona. And people, it's just like a yawn. I mean, it's just, you know, they're just, you know, barely able to get the story about some guy's dog that chased someone. You know, they're trying to debate, you know, is it the Mayo thing or the dog story that's really more interesting? And they decide, well, more people are really interested in the dog story, so let's go with that. I'm not joking. We track this stuff, we analyze this stuff. It is unbelievable to watch. And so, number one message is we have to change the message. We have to change the message. Now, people will say, well, it can't be all about these companies and all this big stuff because we run small businesses and we're going to be small businesses. We're going to drive the small businesses forward, and that's who employs most of the people in America. All true. Providing services to each other who hopefully have opportunities to be engaged in the kinds of economic and technologically based opportunities that I'm talking about. So, since World War II, you need to understand that over half of the economic growth, 75% by some people's measures, 75% of the economic growth in the United States is driven by technological innovation. 90% of the technological innovation since 1990 is driven by scientific discovery. We're a center for that, and you wouldn't know it. And then secondly, education and innovation is the only way forward. This is really hard. It's like what else are you talking about? Yeah, you need roads, yes. You need city structures, yes. You need fantastic government, yes. You need all these things. But I can tell you, let's look at a fantastic precursor to American democracy in Greece. That's sort of where our relationship ends. They didn't carry on and haven't carried on. They're not innovative. They're not focused on education. They're not focused on success. They spend a lot of time talking about roads and a lot of time talking about other stuff. What's happened to their economy? What's happened to the economy in Spain? What's happened to the economy in Italy? What is likely to happen to the economy in France? We cannot go that way. We have to go the way of continuous improvement, continuous innovation. Or we have to find ourselves willing to accept wage decline and a range of other things. So that's my message. Oh, I was on the phone for an hour on my way over here with a guy in London. Alistair was his name, I think. And so he was working for a company hired in London that was working for the Chinese government, People's Republic of China, remember? And one of the universities in Shanghai, China, if you haven't been there, unbelievable experience just to go there. You go there and you say to yourself, uh-oh, something's going on here. Should pay closer attention. Anyway, so there's a university there called Shanghai Jiaotong. Shanghai Jiaotong University, which is one of the research universities in China, was asked by the Chinese government 10 years ago to travel around the world to find all the research universities and to rank them, to then offer to the Chinese a methodological approach about how to build 100 new Chinese research universities so they could basically kick our butt. So this guy, Alistair, takes money from them to work on something that he's doing. So they evaluate 8,000, they rank 1,000, and they publish the ranking of the top 500 every August. So ASU is 80th on that list. That's an unbelievable achievement. So Alistair, U of A is also 80 and we're basically tied. Which they don't like and we're very happy. and so that's a fantastic thing. It really is. And so Alistair's interviewing the presidents of the 200 highest universities on the list, so that he can understand how they work and how they interact and so forth. And he says, of the 200 that I'm interviewing, your school and you personally are the most unusual. Because you take nothing for granted. You take nothing as the status quo. You're not interested in achieving any status for the attainment of the university. This is based on his analysis of us, of reading all of our materials in our groups. He says, you're the only one of the 200 actually re-engineering the way the university works and its purpose and so forth and so on. So we spent an hour talking about what we're doing and where we're going and where we're headed. And so I guess this last point is that we've got to sort of up our game here a little bit. Chandler, Arizona is now the home to the most significant set of companies that you could possibly imagine. Unbelievable small businesses, unbelievable schools, unbelievable city leadership, AAA bond rating, all the things that Chandler has been able to achieve. And it's surrounded in the East Valley by unbelievable things, including ASU and our relationship with Chandler, with the upcoming opening of the Chandler Innovation Center, hopefully in the spring. Things that are going on, you'll hear more about that later. You've got to get that message out. The world is changing really fast, and we've got to be out on the edge. And Chandler is one of those edge cities, so thank you.
Thank you, President. We're going to open up to the audience. If you'll grace us with just a few moments, let's take a few questions.